Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I make for BranSi0730 ZHANG as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. It is a track by Linkin Park titled Papercut off of their Hybrid Theory album. Now, I'm very keen to actually listen through this. Full disclosure, I haven't actually heard this album in its entirety before. I've listened through Meteora, but not Hybrid Theory, so I'm keen to check out where it all started. I think there was an album before this, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong there. But we've got lyrics for this as well, so we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. It's great to have the drums starting things off. Lead guitars coming bit by bit. I'm assuming that was a synth there alongside the entrance to these guitars, the bass, the drums, all the elements, man. Very little intro core, no filler. You know, it's nice because the way they've recorded the vocals, it does sound like the vocals go around the headphones. So it's like the thoughts swirling around in your own cranium. I think that's a smart idea there. I also really enjoy the fact that we've just got that dynamic range there to allow him to be that quiet whilst the palm muted guitar parts go alongside it. Lots of space in there, you know, alongside that really kind of somber synth pad in the background as a sub-layer. I mean, that vocal fry there is characteristic Chester, and obviously, you know, wonderful musician. It was very sad when he passed. His voice is incredibly distinctive, and it notches well within the arrangement and within the studio mix. I'm really thankful that I get to hear this today. Really simple riff with those two guitars, but it keeps carrying it forward. Now, in the Meteora stuff, forgive my ignorance, I know that Mike Shinoda, I think, comes in to do some rapping parts. I'm not sure when he comes in whether he is doing this part. I'm not sure how much of it Chester is doing, because I'm not familiar with this track as much as I probably should be. But I know that Mike's rapping, when I've heard it, is phenomenal. The flow within these verses is a great contrast to some of the slower parts that we have within the hook sections. And there's just great rhythmic phrasing there, as well as an attention to detail, having less kind of coloration in those melodies, or those vocal parts to match the simplicity of the string elements. Watches everything, yeah. Great change to the drum groove there. That ba-ba-ba, you know, it's a really simple kind of fill there, but especially when the drums don't need to be overpopulating the mix, it's just great to have that finesse on the kid and know how to pocket at the same time. Great call and response there between the distorted guitar parts and the vocals. Beautiful vocal harmonies here. For the turntables in the background as well, filling up that space. It's nice to have the drums nice and punchy sidechaining it, but also the guitars with these ninth chords. I know the chord they're playing there on the guitar, and I like how it's structured and phrased. It builds up, crescendos. Oh, and I got chills. I low-key got chills on my arms hearing that. It's great to come back to that, you know. I'm gonna have a read through the lyrics a bit more, just so that I can kind of get a comprehension of it before we go. Actually, we can do the lyrics part within the video. Sometimes, even with the English lyrics, you know, like, it can be a little bit difficult for me to sort of figure out what's going on, you know. Oh, okay. Why does it feel like night today? Something here's not quite right today. Why am I so uptight today? So is it about sort of struggling with mental health issues? How the pressure was fed? So you don't know what triggered him or how the pressure was caused. But I know what it just feels like to have the voice in the back of my head. Yeah. So it's basically, I think it's talking about mental health issues like depression, like laughs when I fall, etc. Watches everything, so I know when it's time to sink or swim that the face inside is here with me, right beneath my sit. So I think he's saying that that basically sink or swim, that he's gonna sink because that voice is there just to watch him fail and to kind of not allow him to get back up from below the surface of the water. You know, it's really dark stuff, man. Paranoia is probably worse. I don't know what set me off first, but I know that I can't stand. Everybody acts like the fact of the matter is that I can't add up to what you can. Yeah, exactly. So like, it's not helpful when you have the people around you who are constantly shutting you down and making your life a living hell. You know, it's terrible. The sun goes down. I feel the light betray me. The sun goes down. So maybe I think these are him basically dealing with these thoughts at nighttime when he's all alone and the hope is gone and it's just a struggle. Basically coping every day. Feels paranoid, like his head is overwhelming him. He doesn't have control over his inner thoughts and his monologue there. It's someone that is struggling with their mental health and having a terrible time. And as we know from what happened with Chester Bennington, it just doesn't stop, man. It's ruthless. Yeah, just as an aside, really quickly, if you are struggling with mental health issues, and if you can, please talk to someone about it. Someone that'll listen to you and, you know, not try and fix you, but like someone who'll listen to you and give you the time just to get that stuff out into the open, you know. Please do find help if you need it. You know, it's okay to ask for help. It's not a matter of being like tough or not. And this is coming from someone who's been through therapy myself on multiple occasions. It's okay to get therapy. It's okay to take medication if you need to. But yeah, if you can, please do go get help. It literally saves lives. And yeah. And this is the conclusion of my review of Linkin Park with Papercut. What do I think the track is about? I think it's about a paper cut underneath the skin or something like that. Something that cannot be healed. That is just struggling to cope with the weight of what's going on inside their own head and the perception of it. How everyone outside is just like not really taking it as seriously and they're just looking at the person's worth as opposed to what they could be if they were to get past it. I think it's just about someone coping with their own inner monologue and thoughts and struggling. And I mean, I'm not trying to psychoanalyze or anything like that. That's just what I'm getting from it. I'm not trying to say what I thought was going on inside the person's head at the time, because I don't know, but that's what it comes across as. The story that was wrapped, it kind of wouldn't surprise me if the people in Linkin Park all had their share of struggles with the way they thought and coped with their mental health and everything like that. Not because I think they should, obviously, to talk about this, but it's more because a lot of people do. And I'm hoping that they found a place of healing from writing music like this. And I'm sure that people who listen to this music can also appreciate that sense of healing from it. But I think that the rapping parts in the verse were done in a way where it was like they were talking about it, sort of a little bit of aggression, but it was very assertive, as if they were just stating things as a matter of fact, and like that was the way it was. And they were just kind of bluntly pissed off about the situation in general. The chorus parts as well as the interlude, you know, the beneath my skin part is one of the most visceral lines in this type of genre of music. Whenever you hear that, you know that it's Chester. But also just, it's worth giving a shout out to all the wonderful melodies and harmonies that we had in the interlude and in the chorus parts. Da, 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 da. Like, it's iconic stuff. These are really easily recognizable components of a track because of how well they're written, how well the vocals ascend on top of them, and they never overstay their welcome. I think that there's a desperation and a frustration and you know, they need that release there. They need to find a way to cope with what's going on. I feel like I'm insane. You know, that part there, it's someone really kind of having a bad time with it as an understatement, obviously, but you get the feeling it's genuine, basically, is what I'm trying to say. When you have a story this heavy, you need the vocals to carry that, and I think they managed to. That was a nail on the head, basically. They smashed it. The track at 3:04 is really short. It's the absolute sweet spot for music within this genre. There was no filler. They came in with that intro, came into the main sort of hook theme, and then the vocals came in for the verse with the chugged power chords. It was fantastic. We had time for an interlude as well with like a overlaid kind of chorus at the end, which just absolutely, it was wonderful. Like, it was incredibly well composed, and I can understand the success that they had with this. I think that the way that the drums were done with the different sort of 8th and 16th note grooves, with not just sticking to the quarter notes for the kick and snare accents, like putting them on the 8ths or like on the offbeats or whatever, just kind of to have, and little fill bits as well between the double choruses, just to get da 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 done, you know, with the snare accents and such. Didn't really rely so much on tom stuff, maybe some fills later on, like some floor toms later on, but it was predominantly cymbal as kick and snare based, and it worked an absolute treat. The turntablism was fantastic when it came in there incrementally, and was as much as a kind of bit of ornamentation, I suppose, as like the synth pads were in like the verse part, where they were kind of a sub layer there. The bass guitar was nice and thick sounding, but notched well into the mix and slid around the root notes of the chords within the progression, and was nicely in time with the dun 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 dun, you know, that riff in the verse part on the guitars. They had a great unison with guitars. And like, whether it was the rhythm guitars or the power chords or the ninths or whatever in the choruses, or the chugged rhythm bits, or it was the leads with the da 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 da, that iconic lead part over top of the chorus part that goes along really well with the kind of chanted chorus bits. It's just careful attention to detail that really kind of like puts it all together, and the amalgamation of all these different elements and materials is absolutely fascinating and worth listening to. There is a lot going on within the chorus especially, but I think that's to demonstrate the busyness of what's going on within the person's head. The relative simplicity of that tonally, at least, like with the lowering of the perceived loudness as well. In the verses, I think contrasts, because not only did we have a lot more words being rapped at that point, but I think as well, you know, we had someone who was just kind of telling a story and needed it to come through nice and clearly. And I think that was a moment of clarity of what the situation they were truly in. You know, the sun going down and the light betraying them in the interlude parts, where things kind of build up again, get a little bit brighter and shinier, but they are still nonetheless incredibly just kind of like, it's raw. And I think the overall record, like if we talk about the studio recording, mixing, mastering, after I talk about the motif, that'd be great, because I'm trying to make this well structured. The motif itself, the main chorus hook, it shouted of someone who was struggling with the situation they're in and just wanted release. That was basically what I got from the way the guitars, synths, turntables, basses, and drums came together with the vocals and the story. I think they had a great sense of connection. And yet the studio production, recording, mixing, and mastering smashed it out of the park there. I'm really happy with how they got the vocals to pop there with both the rapping and the sung parts, with the melodies and harmonies there on the leads and the sides. I'm really happy with the fact that they got the guitars to sound nice and thick and brutish without being too overbearing or too visceral. The bass and drums were nicely notched together and behaved well with each other, and also elevated the guitars, the synth, the turntablism in there. And even though it was a very full sounding arrangement and a very full sounding mix, it never became too much. It was well structured. There's plenty of room for the leads in the high end of the frequency spectrum, with the lows being kept for like the basses and such like that. I think part of that is the vocal range of Chester and Mike, if he was doing the rapping and the verse parts. I'm just not sure. Apologies if Chester was doing the rapping and the verse parts. Damn, they're flawless. Actually, I don't really have any complaints about this track at all. It does not surprise me that they became successful off of songs like this, because you can't really flaw it. There were no resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. There was constant change in the stereo field there. The arrangement and composition itself, the structure of it, never felt old. There were seamless transitions between elements of the track. Put bluntly, they were pioneers of a genre which gave the ground bed for a lot of other bands to kind of build on afterward. You know, we've experienced a resurgence of new metal recently, albeit with some of the genty proggy fusions of like the metalcore parts of the 2010s. I think part of it is some of the stuff that the early 2000s did with bands like Linkin Park, and I'm thankful that we have young adults nowadays that were babies at that point that got brought up with that stuff by their parents. And now look what we have, the world today. So much amazing music. But, there was dynamic range to this. Leveling of the mix was great. It was nice to know without pumping. This is my review of Hybrid Theory. Or rather, sorry, this is my review of Papercut by Linkin Park. I want to go listen to Hybrid Theory. I might go buy that album. Yeah, I had a great time with it. Hopefully you did. If you did, please do go check out Linkin Park's various social medias and a Spotify page. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time as they need the help. More than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands out.